years, the complications already settled in. You're already destined to have kidney problems, eye problems, neuropathy. Don't do that to yourself, okay? Make sure you take it seriously. It's your life. You know, patients with diabetes lose a lot of years in their lives.
Diabetes is a very dangerous disease. Very dangerous. And if it's not properly controlled, you'll be heading to the grave.
It killed your father.
Yeah, keep my
Control your diabetes within the first 10 to 15 years max, and then stay under control. And when you do that, you will be golden. Now, if you want to deep dive a little bit more into diabetes as a progressive disease, if your doctor tells you that you have to add medications because you already tried diet and exercise, you're doing your best, and your A1C is going up.
father at the age of 62.
And how old are you?
I'm 52 now.
And it was also in you to take you to the grave.
I would have been dead before now even.
Why have you not died?
Yeah, because I found Jesus.
Where?
Amen.
Here in Gilbert Deya ministry.
Tell me how Jesus healed you, Gilbert Deya ministry for us. Hold a minute.
Yes, Bishop. I was on drugs. I was on different drugs every day. About 2-3 different types of drugs. Only on diabetes every day.
That there is legacy effect in diabetes care. So what is legacy effect? That is actually a well-known scientific fact in diabetes world. Legacy effect means that the first 10 years in your diabetes have a major and a long-term effect down the road, actually during your entire life. That means that if you took care of your diabetes within the first 10 years, even if you lax and you slack and you don't do well down the road, you will still do much better compared to someone who totally ignored their diabetes, did not control it first 10 years, and then suddenly they have a complication, suddenly they hit the wall, and they say, okay, I'm going to do something about it. That is too late, guys. Don't wait, because if you wait...
And then I traveled to Africa, and it was in my process in Nigeria that I developed swollen legs. And I have to rush back quickly because I wasn't too confident of my treatment over there. Then when I came back, let's go.
After years of living with diabetes, Brian Kaido is heading to surgery to have half his foot removed.
See you later, Brian.
See you, Ray.
As a diabetic, it is one of the risks a patient runs. Infected limbs that won't heal.
I'll send your lunch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your lunch will come back.
Thank you, Ray.
Brian's body is struggling to heal an abscess on his foot because his blood vessels have narrowed, restricting blood flow to his feet.
Brian, unfortunately, has been in hospital now for 5 months. He's had multiple complications from his diabetes and leg ulcers.
Came back, I went to the hospital, MEDIACATION hospital, where I spent 5 days.
MEDIACATION hospital because of effects of diabetes.
Yes. When I got there, the doctor said, you are lucky, gentleman, because your kidney was about to be affected by bacteria. So because of that, I could not use the toilet, and the wee that's supposed to go out from my body was going to my left leg. So my left leg got swollen up. So they worked on that, and I spent 5 days. Then I was discharged. Then I went home, and they told me to be suspending my legs because of the water.
Welcome, and thank you for joining me. Come on in. I'm Jerry Oginski, a New York medical malpractice and personal injury trial lawyer practicing law here in the state of New York. The story I'm about to tell you involves a woman who had diabetes. And because her diabetes was not checked properly, this woman ultimately died from a condition known as diabetic ketoacidosis.
And it was during my process of sitting at home doing nothing, watching the television, that I saw DPN. Then immediately I saw you preaching. Then I decided to come to the ministry.
So the TV make you to understand that there's a way you can also be. So you just come to see whether what you saw on television can happen to you.
Yes.
And you never knew you have demons in you.
No, Bishop.
Tell me what happened when you arrived here, because you are a big man falling down the floor. It's just like craziness.
Yes, when I arrived here, it was a Sunday. I arrived here. I stayed as an ordinary person in the congregation, and that was when really I didn't know where I am. I saw myself on the floor. So when I looked up, I thought people were looking at me, but they were not. Then I stood up. I went down. So when I stood up, the whole service was finished, and he stood and said, the Spirit of God have told him, you have 7 people here with diabetes and high blood pressure. And immediately the first person he's called was me. So he asked me, Mr. Man, the Spirit of God told me you have high blood pressure and diabetes.
And that thing has been to kill you, according to the medic in Hospital Mayday.
Yes. Then anointing oil every night before I go to bed. And I keep on checking because I have the machine at home to check my sugar level.
Like Professor.
Yes.
In the UK here, they give you a machine to check it yourself.
They give you the machine, yeah.
So you become a doctor of your own self.
Oh, yes. So I started checking every day. First day, second day, third day. It started going down and going down and going down and going down. And that was it. Since that day, August this year will be 3 years. I've never taken no medication.
And have you been back to them because you are visiting the doctor all the time?
Yes, he don't usually see me. But what happened last year?
Yes.
What happened last year? I have an insurance company, which is it's like a life insurance company. But what they do every year, they write you a letter to come in for a general checkup of the whole of your body. It's like doing an MOT in a car. So I've not really used that opportunity in that insurance company. So last year, I said, let me go and test let me go and check my body everywhere.
MOT?
Yes, like, yeah, let me go and do MOT of my body.
Body inspection?
Yes. So I went there. The place is somewhere in Harley Street. Very powerful place. They have every equipment there. I went there. They took me through some serious, rigorous tests.
Serious? Rigorous tests?
Yes. They will take you to a toilet. They will show you a toilet to walk. We are to walk. They take everything. Hey, they are very serious. They will take different gas samples, everything. They check your eyes, they check everything. They check it all. Yes, the machines are here to give you results. The machines are just there. So they gave me my result, the machine brought result. He gave me one, Mr. Luke said the other part to my GP. So because I did not understand the medical complications of this treatment,
She died as a result of uncontrolled diabetes. They call it diabetic ketoacidosis. And the sad thing is that this condition and her death was preventable. If only this doctor had taken the time to draw bloods and realized that her sugar levels were so high, this tragedy could have been avoided. So for all you diabetics out there, you must follow your sugar levels on a regular basis, and you must do everything possible to be compliant with either your diet or your insulin. And that's it for today's video tip about diabetic ketoacidosis.
I don't know what they wrote there. Then the following day, I went to my GP. I took mine to my GP. I didn't wait till my GP got his copy. So when I got there, I told the GP that...
GP means doctor, because somebody in Nigeria don't understand GP.
that's right.
GP means doctor.
Yes, that's the general practitioner. So I took my certificate. I showed it to the man. I said I went for insurance checkup of the whole of my body. He looked at it. He knew about them anyway.
Because he knew about them.
He knew about the company, yeah. He knew about them. So he immediately took it for me. He started looking at it. Look at it. He said, He said, gentleman. He
Where's diabetic?
He said, what is happening here? He said, every result here is very okay. He said, he told me, you have not been taking your diabetic medication for a very long time, and yet your sugar level is very low. I said, yeah. I said, where is it? I saw it there. My sugar level was 4.3.
Let your doctor do something about it. Let your specialist do something about it. Okay, so do not just say, oh, give me another 3 months, give me another 6 months. These 3 months, 6 months add up, and then 5 years down the road, you remain with a high A1C, and that is the reason you are going to have complications. So diabetes is not going to reverse itself. You have a neuropathy, you have a pain in your feet, you cannot sleep at night. That's not going to be reversible. It's already done. So you need to make sure that you do everything it takes to not to go there.
He was telling me, you need some sugar in your body. I said, doctor, I don't need sugar in my body. I said, I don't need sugar, because when the sugar was high, up to 16, you were telling me my sugar was too much. Now you are telling me I need sugar in my body. I said, I don't need sugar. I don't need sugar in my body. Then he said, what?
So statistically speaking, a patient with diabetes will lose 8 years from their life. A patient with a heart attack in their history will lose 12 to 13 years from their life. A patient who already had a stroke will lose up to 20 years of their life. And we feel deeply sorry if something happens to our patient.
What must be happening with you? You must be doing some good exercise. I said, no, Jesus heal me.
Amen. Amen. Jesus heal me.
Yes.
Amen. Okay, we go back to Hope. Hope tells the people what happened with Jesus by then and what happened in England now, that a man who his father died of diabetic. His own father died of diabetic. Is now confirming that Jesus, whom Hope is reading here in the book of Matthew. Read it.
The book of Matthew, chapter 4, verse 23. And Jesus went about all Galilee, teaching in their synagogues, preaching the gospel of the kingdom, and healing all kinds of sickness and all kinds of disease among the people. Then his name went throughout all Syria, and they brought to him all sick people who were afflicted with various diseases and torments, and those who were demon-possessed, epileptics, and the paralytics, and he healed them. Great multitude followed him from Galilee and from Decapolis, Jerusalem, Judea, and beyond the Jordan.
Why were they following Jesus? Why are you following Jesus now, Pakasho?
Bishop, I have to follow Jesus because I have seen what he has done in my life. Because if not this Jesus, I don't think I would be existing by now.
You would have followed your father.
I could have followed
in the grave.
Yes.
And this one was a medical complication in Britain too, could not give you an answer.
Yes.
And you come here, somebody speak the word on you.
Yes, Bishop.
No injection, no medication.
No injection, no medication.
And now 3 years, you are like a baby. Even the medical in Britain has given to you certificate.
So for all you diabetics out there, you must follow your sugar levels on a regular basis, and you must do everything possible to be compliant with either your diet or your insulin. And that's it for today's video tip about diabetic ketoacidosis. By the way, if you have more questions about how lawsuits like these work in the state of New York, then I encourage you to explore my website. You can see the web address here at ojinsky-law.com. And if you have specific legal questions, then I want you to pick up the phone and call me, since I can answer your legal question. You can reach me at 516-487-8207 or by email at lawmed10@yahoo.com.